In this video, I'm going to show how to make the Google Scholar icon be displayed on the Vixi website. It's a small change in the codebase, but it will help show how the codebase works. So, as you can see in the Netlify admin panel, some of the users have Google Scholar filled out, but it doesn't show on the people page. They don't have a Google Scholar icon that you can click. So if you go into the codebase, you can see that Netlify will generate all these markdown files when you create a new person in the Netlify admin panel. And you can see Charles has a Google Scholar attribute, but it doesn't show up on the people's page. So within the codebase, all the markdown is stored within the content folder, and all the Go that displays the markdown is within the layouts folder. The Go is stored within HTML files. So the Go is the logic, and then the HTML and the CSS is the styling. Within layouts section and people, we can see we're displaying each card for the people's page. And for each markdown file within people, it's generating a page based on the attributes in each markdown, the data within each markdown file. For example, this logic right here is just checking if the markdown file has a Twitter attribute, and if it does, if it has a Twitter parameter, and if it does, then it's displaying the Twitter logo as a hyperlink to the Twitter URL that's in the markdown. And to add a Google Scholar, we'll just do exactly the same. So that should display a Google Scholar icon. But there's one last thing. Hugo actually doesn't like underscores within its parameter. It doesn't like dashes within its parameters. So we want to change this to an underscore. So that means it has to be an underscore in all of the markdown files. But since these markdown files are generated by Netlify, they're not manually created. We have to change the Netlify configuration. And all of the Netlify configuration is just within admin config.yaml. So within the people section, we can see Google Scholar has a dash, but Hugo doesn't like dashes, so we'll change this to an underscore. So now when we commit this to GitLab, all of the Netlify builds will create markdown with Google Scholar with an underscore in the parameters. And the rest of this file just displays the other Netlify collections. We have news, people, projects, and you can create more if needed. And the slug is what defines the file name, how the pattern of the file name that's generated from Netlify. So if I create a person named Charles, it will create a file name called Charles, the current year, the current month, and the current day. So Charles 2020 to 16. And if you need different file names, you can just change. That's the slug. This was also a change I had to make before because I didn't have the slug attribute and it was generating really long file names by default. And when you clone the repo, the file names were too long to clone, the markdown file names. So that's actually all the changes that we should need to make for that small bug to be fixed. So now to test our changes, we can just run Hugo server D and then go to our local host. People, and now we can see Charles has his Google Scholar icon. And if we click it, it will take us to all his publications. And the same over here. So that's the first tutorial on editing the Vixi codebase.